Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about sublimation ink and the ink that I use. So the ink that I use, and a lot of you probably already know, is I have my own sublimation ink line. This is what it looks like. This is what the bottles look like. So with these bottles, you are getting a bigger black one, so you get more black ink, and then the smaller colored ones. It just comes in handy, especially because you use black more than any other color. So this design for these bottles specifically is for the Ecotank. Now that doesn't mean that you can't use it in other printers like the Workforce and stuff like that. It just makes it a little bit more difficult. I plan to work on getting the ink bottles and cartridges and the syringes and everything so that you can easily put it into your Workforce if you don't already have that conversion kit to do so. So this is what the bottles look like out of the packaging, and the top looks like this. So when it says that it's made for Ecotanks, it doesn't mean that the ink cannot go into any other printer. The ink is the ink. It just means that it's easy to add this right onto the Ecotank. I'll show you over here what I mean by just adding it on there. Okay, so this is the Epson Ecotank 15,000. So when you add ink to a machine like this is where your ink's gonna go. They have these little tabs right there, and this top piece fits right onto there so that you can add the ink in, and it just fills right up. So it's very, very easy to do that. But if you have one that's got cartridges, it is a little bit more difficult. First started doing sublimation shirts, I really noticed that a lot of people, their shirts weren't super bright and vivid, and I was just like, you know, if I'm gonna do this, the shirts are gonna have to be super bright, super pigmented. And so I really started playing around with so many different things. I was playing around with the method I was using as far as bleaching, you know, bleaching first, bleaching second, settings, all that kind of stuff, you know, temperature of your heat press, your pressure, all those things, like all of that stuff is very, very important with getting the brightness of your shirt. Because there are times where people will get, you know, buy this ink and they'll say, you know, I see all these people with these super bright shirts and mine's just not doing that. And it doesn't mean that it's the ink. It just means that there's so many factors that go into it that you just really have to know what you're doing and, you know, mastering how to get the colors the way that you want them. Because personally, I don't really care for that distressed look. And I think that's the look that you get when you bleach after pressing the design. I don't really like that. I really like that bright, vivid color. I came out with my own ink line, and I have found that ever since I've been using my ink, and I've been using my ink since the beginning of this year, my stuff is so bright. I get compliments all the time in all the groups that I'm in and everything about just how bright my shirts are. So I figured I would get on here today, talk to you a little bit about my ink, and then press a couple of shirts to show you for yourself, because I know a lot of the time it is hard when, you know, you get online and it's hard to look at pictures and wonder, like, well, does that have a filter on it? You know, did they get on there and adjust things? And I do think that filters make photos look really great. I use them a lot of the time just to kind of go for a specific, like, aesthetic of my brand and stuff like that. But it does make it a little bit more difficult because you wonder, like, does their shirt really look like that? And you definitely don't want to be putting products out there where it's super edited and then your customer gets their product and it looks nothing like the photo. You definitely don't want that to happen. So just be careful there. But I got a couple of shirts ready. I'll show you the designs that I printed out. So this one's super popular right now. It is the Jack Skellington, and it's like Freddy Krueger. And as you can see, this is super bright on the paper already. So I know that it's gonna look great on a shirt. I've actually never pressed this specific design before. So we'll be doing that one together. And then this is another design. I just jumped on Etsy and got a couple designs. People have really been getting into Halloween and fall stuff super early this year. So I figured I'll just go ahead and do a couple designs like that. So I got this design. This is just a Beetlejuice one. I thought it was really cute. So let's go ahead and press these really quick, and you guys can see for yourself the pigmentation of the ink. Okay, so this shirt, this is a Gildan G6 400. I have it bleached already. I bleached it, I washed it, it's ready to go. And sometimes what I do before I press my designs is sometimes you'll get like ink, or let's say you had an issue with just like the roller lines or anything like that. If you've had any issues and ink starts smearing everywhere, occasionally you'll get some like ink along here on the edges and it will ruin the shirt. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull these off just so that we can prevent that. Not that I've seen any lately. I'll go through periods of time where I'll have tons of smeared ink and stuff, and I'll just have to make sure I rip off the edges, and once I do that, everything's fine. But okay, so another thing that I recommend to do before you press something is just holding the press on there just for a few seconds. This removes moisture and stuff from the shirt and it just gets it ready to go. Alrighty, and then I'm gonna get my piece of butcher paper. And I know you guys have heard me talk about this before, but make sure you're using a new piece of butcher paper every single time. This is my butcher paper holder. I got this off of Amazon. I'll have it linked below in the description. Okay, just makes it easier instead of having to cut it every time. Right now I'm using A-sub paper. This is the 125. Okay, line it up. Add your butcher paper on there. And then I'm gonna do 60 seconds. My pressure is set at 4 right now, and my temperature I think was like 375. I've noticed that my temperature has been getting really hot here lately, and sometimes it burns a little bit. So when I have those issues, I just start turning the press down a little bit. You just don't want any burning. So like I said, this is my first time pressing this design, so we will see how it turns out. And with bleaching first, I've noticed a bigger difference in the blacks. I feel like when you do the design and then you spray, it really just washes out your black, and that's why I like doing it this way. I know the bleaching isn't always perfect as far as around the image, but the image is a lot more vibrant doing it this way. Okay. And there is our image. And I know something that a lot of people freak out about is having ink left on the paper. They think, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? Why is there so much ink left? So really this image wasn't too bad. It took a lot of the color. There is still some black on there, but that's going to happen, no big deal. So this image, honestly, up close, there is no scorching or anything, but I just go ahead and spray it because it does whiten up this area around it a little bit more. So I just mist it. A lot of people ask, like, when you spray the peroxide, do you need to wash it again? If you're lightly misting, you don't need to. And I have never had anybody complain about a shirt smelling like peroxide or anything like that. I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, peroxide stinks. I've never noticed it after I spray it or wear shirts. I never noticed it afterwards. If you're more comfortable with washing it first and then sending it out, go ahead. I just don't really think it's necessary. So sometimes I hover this heat press over top of this just to get that peroxide to dry. It's not actually touching the shirt. I just have it kind of right over top of it. All right, and then I'll hold this up so you can see it a little bit better. And even after washing and drying this, it's going to look the exact same. A lot of people try to say, doing it this way, it's going to wash out. I have a lot of shirts that I literally wear every day, like as a night shirt or something, and I've washed it so many times, and it still looks the exact same. All right, so I think that one turned out really well. Let's go ahead and do this Beetlejuice one. All right, and now this one's done. We are going to spray. And I will say, depending on the design, like what design it is, sometimes you just get a brighter image. I have no idea why, but it just seems like there's certain designs that are just a little bit better quality and they are super bright and super pigmented. And then others, it's like no matter what you do, it just doesn't seem as bright as the others. Alrighty guys, so those are the 2 shirts that we just did with Bees Tees ink. As you can tell, those are very bright, very pigmented. Alright, so I really hope you enjoyed the video. You can buy the ink, I'll link it below, but it's beesteesublimationink.com. And like I said, if you don't have an Epson Ecotank and you have a workforce, you can totally add this ink in. Questions, comment those below as well. And thank you so much for watching.